Hi, Rachelle here, your herbalist and holistic health practitioner. And today I'm going to tell you a little bit more about herbal extracts. So, the different kinds, why we want, which one that we want, when, and how to determine what's good, what's best. So starting with, a whole plant. The whole plant is often the greatest way to consume it. So when we do that, we have the whole, parsley leaf, the whole piece of fruit, all of the kale, all of the cauliflower, all of the plants. So the spices, fruits, vegetables, herbs, these exist in their most complete form. So they are, the way that they exist in nature, full of the fullest spectrum of all of their nutrients, full of their water still, full of their life still, full of their fiber still. And there's something that is often called the X factor related to eating plants in their whole form. And that is a mention of the fact that science doesn't entirely understand why plants in their whole form often work better than when we try to extract a single, say, antioxidant and make that really potent and then take a lot of it, which is the Western way. That sometimes backfires, and sometimes more often than sometimes. So this X factor is eating the whole plant, and for some reason it all works better when we have it all together. Go figure. So if we can't have, all of the parsley that we need to get the detoxification benefits of it, for example, then we might want it in a stronger form. And one of the most straightforward plant extract forms is tea. So please watch my video from last session about how to make tea, because there are many, many ways to make tea, and they all have different, values. So this is just some dried rose petal, and any kind of dried herb is possible to make a tea with. You can use flower petals, leaves, roots, stems, and like I mentioned, there are a lot of different ways to make tea. So that would be a water-based extract. And a water-based extract would mean that we're extracting active compounds from the plant into water. So primarily, those would be water-soluble compounds. Anything that's not water-soluble is staying in the plant. Just a side note, this is basically what happens when we boil vegetables. We're making vegetable tea. However, instead of drinking the water and discarding the fiber, we often eat the veggies and throw out the water, which means we throw out all the water-soluble compounds that we might actually want in our bodies. So maybe think about the water if you're boiling veggies. Aside from tea, we also have alcohol and vegetable glycerin and vinegar and honey-based extracts. Those would be in liquid form, obviously. So this is a tincture, and if you haven't watched my video on tinctures, please go back and do that, because there's a ton of information on all of the details about these wonderful things. And what we get here are compounds that extract well into alcohol or other liquid bases that we may be using. Notable mention on the liquid extracts is that medicinal mushrooms, for example, you will often see as dual extracted. So that means that they're extracted in a water base and they're extracted in an alcohol base, and then those are put together and you have both in here. And that means that then you have compounds that extract in water and alcohol, and you have more compounds, more medicine, more goodness. Not everything needs to be dual extracted. Some things do. Not everything needs to be concentrated when it's in a tincture form. Some things do. And that gets into the sort of strength of the extracts and how much medicine is in a serving of this versus a serving of my tea versus a serving of anything else that we're going to talk about today. So water soluble in tea, alcohol soluble in alcohol-based tinctures. We also have flower essences. So this is a flower essence from our friends Anima Mundi Herbals. And a flower essence is typically a water base, sometimes a brandy base or a different base depending on the practitioner and how they're extracting. Flower essences and gem essences are similar to homeopathy in the strength and the types of compounds that exist in them. It's a little bit different medicine, or quite a bit different medicine, than something like a tincture. This is the energetic body or the life or the sort of spirit of the plant most often. So some way to think about that may be, the whole plant is the orange. The medicine that we may be after with a tincture or a tea would be the vitamin C content. And with a flower essence, we want the spirit of that orange. We want the whole essence of the orange. And so we work with that plant in a little bit different way if you're working with flower essences or gem essences. Other extraction methods include powders. So there's a whole world of powders out there. This is a triphala powder. Often a powder is going to be just the plant dried, ground up in a powder form. Very straightforward. Sometimes it's just a single plant. So this is just triphala. Sometimes it's a blend. So this is a blend from my friends over at Cap Beauty. And they have not only 7 different herbs in this blend, those herbs are concentrated, and you see the strength is listed on the side of the jar. So this is something that's important to notice in the world of powders, powder blends, and capsules. They are not all equal in terms of strength. They're not necessarily, one is not necessarily better than the other, but it's something to be aware of if you're looking for a certain quantity of plant medicine or a certain nutrient. A certain active compound is an easy way to sort of look for the thing that's going to give you the benefit that you're seeking. The labels will say often, or they should, this is standardized to a certain strength, and there is X amount of that strength in this jar. So back to the orange example, whole orange, you could dry the whole thing, grind it up into a powder, and like, here's your orange powder. Probably be super delicious. If anyone knows where I can get some of that, let me know. I would definitely try it. However, if I'm trying to get a certain amount of vitamin C every day, I need to know how much vitamin C is in that powder. And if I buy that powder again, is it going to be the same amount of vitamin C? So that's what that standardization means. It means that the herbs, the plants, the process of extracting the medicine out of them is standardized so it's the same every single time. Now, keep in mind that the active compound that you're after may not be the name of the plant. So rhodiola, for example, I love rhodiola. It's something that a lot of my clients are using right now. It's great. So rhodiola, the active compound in it that we're typically after is called solidicides. So you'll see rhodiola, say rhodiola rosacea, standardized to X% solidicides. These solidicides, there's 250 milligrams in a quarter teaspoon or a half teaspoon. Then we know exactly how much we're getting, and if we switch brands, we can say, oh, well, this brand, I needed a quarter of a teaspoon, and this brand, I need half of a teaspoon. So standardization is important when you're trying to get a certain consistency in your herbal extracts. Here's a powder that I love that is not standardized at all, but beautiful. This is pine pollen. And this was foraged from local pine trees out here in Brooklyn. And we have no idea what the strength of this is. Nobody standardized it. We just went out and collected it. And that's great and it's wonderful. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to enjoy this, but it means that it is not something that I'm going to use with a client who needs a very specific dose because we don't know the potency of that, as opposed to something that may be standardized. So keep that in mind. In the powder world, you can have, powders just out of a jar that you use a measuring spoon with, or you can get them in capsule form. So capsules often contain powder, and it may be a blend of powder or maybe a single. And these too are sometimes concentrated, sometimes not concentrated. So very important to just read the supplement facts to see how much of which plants are in your capsules, and to consult with your herbalist or whoever you're working with to know how much do I need, how much ashwagandha do I need? Do I need 2 grams a day, 3 grams a day? That's usually what people need. But, for you it may be different. And then two more sort of extract types, essential oils. So essential oils are, special and different. So these are volatile oils. And when you take the lid off and you smell it, or you place it on your skin, or if you believe in ingesting it, a lot of folks will ingest essential oils in tiny, tiny, tiny quantities. Please know what you're doing if you're doing that. These, even if just smelled or applied on the skin, absorb into the body, into the bloodstream, and we are getting plant medicine from essential oils. As long as they are not synthetic, then we are actually ingesting them in the same way as if we ate, drank, took a capsule, used a tincture. That medicine is getting into our body. One more, I have to mention this one. So these are my herbal gummies. There are a few of these on the market, not many though. So this is a way to consume your herbs. I'll make my plug short, but I had to mention it. So in these, this is a food form. So this is an herbal gummy. It's honey-based, apple pectin, no gelatin, none of the weird stuff that's in a lot of gummies out there. And in here are liquid extracts of about 4 different herbs that are good for your nervous system, as well as a little bit of a powder extract, as well as actual lavender flowers. So we have 3 different extract forms in one gummy. So your herbs can come in that form too. And then just a quick note about why and when to use which form. So my favorite and sort of strongest recommendation is to start with the plants in the form that is closest to the way that they exist in nature. So get familiar with the plant as it grows. Can you see it live? Can you eat it fresh? Can you understand the color, the flavor, the texture? What's it look like? Meet them, meet those guys. And a lot of times the benefits start there. So bitters, for example, are great for our digestion. And bitter is a flavor that we taste, but as soon as we taste it, all the way through our digestive system, very, very far along, our body says, oh, bitters, I better get my gastric juices and my hydrochloric acid ready in my stomach. It's time to digest. And that happens here, right? So bitters will be good for our digestion if we take them as a capsule too, but we completely miss the experience of what do they taste like, and are they making me salivate, and is that helping to turn on my digestion, which is part of how they work. So try to back up all the way to the way that they exist in nature and see if you can't meet them. I mean, like the pine pollen, that stuff is gorgeous. If you didn't know that it looked like, powdered gold, some of the magic would be lost, Can we take it as a capsule? Sure. But do you really want to? Then think about things like, I need a certain dose. How am I really going to be able to get that every day? Will I use a powder? Do I hate the way it tastes? Do I travel a ton and so I need a tincture? Do I love making potions and concoctions, in which case powders could be great? Do I want to brew the tea so I can see all of the flowers bloom? You know, one of my clients right now is completely in love with her tea because every day she gets to look at a giant picture of flowers. The colors are phenomenal, yellow and pink and green, and those are all the benefits too. Those colors themselves are representative of different parts in plants that actually have benefits for us. So you're drinking it, you're seeing it, and it's a sort of fuller recognition of the benefits of the plants. So think about that. Think about a relationship with the plant, but then really think about, okay, quality, potency, and what is my lifestyle? Do I have to have a tincture or a capsule because otherwise I'm not going to take it? Fine, do that. And if it tastes really bad, you could totally use a capsule. So anyway, so this is a world. I hope it's helpful. Let us know if you have questions. Let us know if I should go deeper on any one of these subjects. Otherwise, we will bring you something new and exciting in the next edition of Community Herbalism. Thanks so much for being with me. You can find me here. You can find me on my channel. You can find me in the world. Keep at it. Ciao.